All right, so first look of the day, playing some Rakdos Shadow. We just finished up a 3-1 in the preliminary with Jun Shadow, so hopefully that'll be up not too long. But we're trying out Rakdos here with our good buddy Obosh, the Prey Piercer. I don't think we've ever played a Shadow Obosh deck before, so I'm kind of interested in seeing what happens here. But because of Obosh's restriction, we can't play anything with an even mana cost. So Mishra's Bauble, Temur Battle Rage, Tarmogoyf, Terminate, stuff like that. So you're going to see a funky few little inclusions here. On the 1-drop side, we get a lot of the known Shadow staples with Death Shadow, Thoughtseize, Fatal Push, Lightning Bolt, Ragavan, Dragon's Rage Channeler. And then we got to skip all the way up to 3 here, which is really awkward for me, and I'm not sure how much I like that. But we get Seasoned Pyromancer, Bone Crusher, Blood Moon, Kolaghan's Command. Yes, we are a Blood Moon deck. We've got a couple basic swamps, and as long as we get one of them, the rest of our deck functions. We've got 4 copies of Street Wraith, because that's a 5-drop, which last I checked is not an even number. 1 Murderous Cut and a Shriek Maw to help deal with some of the problematic things that Terminate would usually deal with. And an Agadeem's Awakening way up here at the top that functions as a 19th land or as a spell with an odd CMC if we happen to find enough mana sources and want to cast it to get back Shadow, or if, heaven forbid, we get up to 6 mana and want to get back a Spyro or something. In the sideboard, we've got 3 missing spots, I just realized, so we got to find something for those. Let's add a... Go up to the 4th Fatal Push. What are we adding? Panicking. Need something. What do we have that's okay? Oh, Unearth. Unearth looks good. Let's do that. There we go. We got our totally well thought out sideboard of an additional Terminate-esque effect with the 2nd Shriek Maw. Liliana the Veil for some of the grinding matchups. 2 Fatal Pushes to Unearth. A By Force and a Shattering Spree for the artifact decks. 2 more Blood Moon effects and 2 Magus of the Moon. And 4 Soul Guide Lanterns for our Grave Hate. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to go, so we're just going to run into it. And maybe it works swimmingly. Maybe we die miserably every game. Who knows? Either way, we're doing this. There's top 8 and stuff, right? No, there's no top 8 for the preliminaries. It's just 4 rounds. Prizes based on how many wins you get. Alright, so we got a Ragavan. We've got lands. Got a Street Wraith, a Murderous Cut that we can get online before too long. That's a pretty good one. Don't kill my Ragavan. Ask for one thing, opponent. One thing in this dog-eat-dog world. Couldn't let me have it. Alright. What's our plan here? I feel like I can't really do much until we kill this Eidolon. So I'm just going to play tapped land. Take 4 off the Thoughtseize. That way we don't have to take... Just going to take Lightning Bolt. We're taking Skewer. Next turn we can play the Swamp and Murderous Cut without taking an Eidolon trigger. Dark in here. And maybe we can strand this Searing Blaze until we find a better threat. Go away. So we've got a steering blaze and a skewer. Rift bolt to my face. So we really need to find a shadow like now. Let's pop this. Shadow. Shadow. And now we just pray for 2 bricks. That's 1 brick. Let's bolt them in the face. Am I dashing Ragavan? Yes. They're gonna Searing Blaze something regardless, so like it doesn't change that I still need them to brick this turn. Alright. Opponent, I'm asking for your finest goblin guide off the top 1 time. Uno Mas goblin guide. Or Swift Spear. We take Swift Spear. Survey says. Don't you dare slow roll me with a burn spell. Alright. Good start. So we've got Fatal Push. We've got Liliana. We've got a whole lot of not much else. Shriek Maw is an answer to Eidolon that doesn't deal us damage. Magus does stop the white cards. Does Unearth do anything I'm interested in? Not like majorly. Magus, I'll just keep the main deck Blood Moons. Alright. Stole a game 1. Can we do it once more for a second time? Deal with creatures pretty well. So I guess we got to keep it. Suspend a Rift Bolt. Alright. I think I am going to lead with a Dragon's Rage Channel. I think if I can get my opponent to Rift Bolt my Channeler, that's really good for me. If they don't, then I can still like Thoughtseize, Bolt in Awakening, play a Shadow next turn. Let's go. Attack you for 1. And then we will shock in and play a shadow. That's right, opponent. Alright, a little less right. I guess we gotta bolt this. They have like 2 more instants here. And that kind of sucks. Doesn't matter here. We're going to be shuffling away with path anyway. Okay. Let's attempt to Thoughtseize. See if we can snag one of these 2 remaining cards. They have a Searing Blaze. Deflecting Palm. Alright, so don't flip over Delirium. That can go in the graveyard. And playing out you, but I'm not bolting. Say go. Then if they do nothing, we'll stomp them. Try to flip over Delirium now. They do just have like infinite redraws. Stomp you. Show me Delirium. Technically, yes. Okay. Not quite what we're looking for here, but... Play Bone Crusher, say go. Helix me. All right, good start. Less good start. All right. I feel slow rolled. Don't think there's anything I really want to change. Outside of being on the play. All right. Those are preliminary winnings. Yeah. Got reasonable interaction. Got a clock. Maybe opponent bowls to 3. Fingers crossed. I also need to export the list to Stream Decker before I forget. Here's the Channeler. Say go. Stop on my own upkeep in case they play out a threat that I want to kill. Didn't know any better. I think that looked like a threat I wanted to kill. Blood Moon off the top. I'm going to mill over the Blood Moon. Show me Sanctifier on Vec. It's not a Sanctifier on Vec. Not a Sanctifier at all. Ragioli. So, do I want to take these hits? Going to 14 for push. 13, 12, 11. I think that I want to take the hits and then after a fatal push, swift spear, and mill over the Ragavan. Gets Delirium online. Fetch land is actually perfect there. So now we go Shadow, Shadow, land, go. Suspend double Rift Bolt. Okay. I believe opponent that thou life is forfeit. They're out of blocker. The end is nigh. Woo. 1-0 start. Let's see if it continues. Deck list is up on Stream Decker. Let's double check the link. Hand looks good. Ragavan, we got Channeler and Thoughtseize on turn 2. We've got a Shadow that we can get down. So best case scenario would be Ragavan connects. And then turn 2, we get to go Fetch, Shock, Thoughtseize, Channeler, Thoughtseize, Shadow. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario is the opponent has like 7 gut shots. But yeah, if you're in the camp of people that think like Ragavan isn't on the chopping block in some capacity, this card just puts like so much pressure on your opponent to act right now. It's kind of insane. Okay. So it's Bant Ephemerate. So if that's the case, I think I'm going to... I really want to like Thoughtseize and know what's up so I can decide if I need to bolt this Hierarch or not. Let's go Channeler, Thoughtseize, Digimire, Ice Fang, Coatl, Ephemerate. So we take the Ice Fang. We bolt the Hierarch. And that's going to slow things down for at least a turn or two. You give me Delirium, so I'll flip you over. Omnath needs to die for the same reasons Uro did. It amazes me that it's still legal. It is pretty crazy that they haven't taken any action against Omnath. I do agree that it's kind of like in that list of cards that they've shown before that they're willing to take action against. So, like, what is it that makes Omnath special? Alright, let's get down a Shadow here. Probably Shadow and add Obosh to hand. Not like in a heavy need for this extra mana. But Uro was so ridiculous at being able to pull people out of like unwinnable situations. And I mean, Omnath is absolutely in that same like vicinity. I do think Uro was more oppressive than Omnath is, mainly because of Uro's ability to come down a turn earlier and like repeatedly come back, but they're both like very, very problematic cards. All right, so let's go Canyon, Spyro, ditch the Obosh. Can't believe they were in the same standard. I know, right? All right, so the hope here is that they block Shadow, ephemerate the wall, and then somewhere between the dudes I've got and Stomp, I can hopefully find lethal. Yeah, I mean, like, it goes to show, though, that those decks or those two cards were in the same standard at the same time, but they're only enabled by, like, fetch lands and perfect mana, which is modern right now with the triomes and the fetches and everything. Like, Uro especially is only relevant, or was only relevant because of fetches. Just being able to fuel up the graveyard so quickly. All right, what do you got? Hoping just at 4 life, they don't have enough life to work with to really make anything happen. All right. On to game number 2. So we've got a couple extra pieces of spot removal to bring in. Lily. Lily's like okay. Maybe I want Lily. I can't decide. Do I want to fight over the Eternal Witness loops? Probably not. I think that's like a losing battle. I don't know if Blood Moon's good against them with all their mana dorks. It could be. Like, if we take out Noble Hierarchs, maybe they only have like one basic. And maybe the Blood Moon effects are good. Ragavan gets stonewalled really, really quickly. I think I'll keep in, like, the 2 Maguses and board out the Blood Moons. At least the Maguses can attack if they're not doing anything useful. But I kind of want to see, like, how they progress their mana this game. And if I see that they're, like, really aggressive about getting shock lands and triomes and stuff game 2, then maybe we go into game 3 with the plan of, like, boarding all the Blood Moons back in. But if they're really conservative with their mana and, like, getting basics and stuff, then I might just, like, board out the Maguses game 2 or game 3. Well, guess we get to find out, don't we? Just gotta remember to get a swamp. Burnt and Forge Tender. Channeler. Go. Why the Elemental? Because it is an odd CMC and kills like Murktide and stuff for 2 mana. I was looking at, like, all the 3 CMC options, and, like, all the good ones are double black. And I don't want double black in my Blood Moon Magus of the Moon deck. I wonder if I was supposed to Ragavan on turn 1 and just plan on, like, Shriek Mawing this Forge Tender. I can't play Terminate with Obosh as a companion. That's one of the deck building restrictions here, is we've got Obosh. But normally, yes, Terminate would be better. My hope is that this doesn't give away that we brought in, or we've got Blood Moon effects in the deck. Squaddle. I'm also kind of surprised they're not fetching basics more aggressively with Ice Fang Quaddle in. But now they can kind of play around it. Hit the land. Maybe. Well, could be in a little bit of trouble here. Rely on all these 3 drops in our, like, 19 land deck. Could backfire a little bit. But we did find out the information that I wanted to find out, which is that they're not fetching conservatively. So if we go to game 3 and we get access to all the blood moons, then that might be something we want to look into. We'll just scoop this one up, because even if I draw like another land, the shadows aren't getting me out of it. So we did see Burrington Forge Tender. Modern staple, Burrington Forge Tender. Try to trim on something that's a little like slower. Well, I can't really throw back a hand that just goes like turn 1 Channeler, turn 2 Channeler Thoughtseize, or Thoughtseize Shadow, have Fatal Push, or have Lightning Bolt. How's the Jund Shadow run? We finished up 3-1 in the preliminary, so went positive. Deck still needs some adjustments here and there, but not not bad. Okay. Now, do I want to go Shadow? Thoughtseize Shadow? Do that one. I think I'd rather Thoughtseize Shadow, though. Wall is what? 0-4. So I just have to take the Solitude. I can get the Shadow down. Thoughtseize next turn. Mimic, Quaddle, Soul Herder, Unknown. Shadow. So we'll keep that. Keep the pressure going. Ewit gets back Solitude, so I've got to take the Ewit. And then, am I bolting so I can swing over with the Channeler? Let's see. Mata, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome Thursday wherever you're at in the world. Appreciate you coming around and hanging out. So I bolt them 16. This is 13. They don't block the shadow. It's 8. this turn, they can either mimic the wall, Ice Fang Coatl, they can Soul Herder, I guess. But they'd have to shock in Hallowed Fountain to Soul Herder. Surprised you don't want to just deploy the other DRC. I thought about it, but I kind of wanted to get the damage in. Like, while I'm fairly confident that my opponent can't double spell. I mean, that node, if I had played the DRC, that would have cost me 6 damage. Because they just blocked the DRC with the wall. They first attack them. But if I attack and they block, and I cast Bolt, that I'm only dealing 3 damage there instead of 6. Unless I point the bolt at the wall, in which case I'm still dealing, or I'm dealing none instead of 6. Like, that's putting me really back on seeing if I can push through damage with this Shadow. So now if they flash in Ice Fang Coatl and they block the Channeler, or they block the Shadow even, then I've just got like 2 Shadows swinging for lethal next turn, plus this Channeler, or the 2 Channelers that are presenting lethal. Like, I think my role here is just getting my opponent dead, not playing for a bunch of extra turns. Like, if they just hit a another Eternal Witness or Solitude, then the game's just over. Like, I've got to win before that happens. And anything that puts an extra turn on that clock is working against me. Down. They've got Soul Herder, Hallowed Fountain, 3 unknowns. If they Solitude the Shadows, I'm still presenting lethal. Unless they play the Soul Herder, which I assume they would. If they Solitude the Channelers, or 1 Channeler, then I'm still presenting lethal. So that's fine. I've got 3 more Lightning Bolts to draw to. I believe all 4 Bone Crushers are still in the deck. Yep. Okay. So this is currently lethal with the Ragavan. Oh, man. Firing Spike, why do you have to make decks that are good against me? Make a new Storm deck. Tired of playing Bant value decks and Ephemerate value decks. Starting off 2-0 is nice. See if we can keep the streak around. Ugh. But as always, hope everybody's having an awesome Thursday so far. Greatly appreciate y'all coming and hanging out, checking out some of the shadow action. If you're new to the channel, welcome, welcome. Feel free to hop into chat, introduce yourself, or just talk trash about all the plays I make. If you're returning, welcome, welcome as well. Appreciate you not hating the channel enough to never tune in again. Kevin, the only thing we've completed today was the preliminary. We went 3-1 in the preliminary. We're currently 2-0 in this league. So, unfortunately, you can't talk a lot of trash at the moment. Kyle Magic, what's up? Hope you're having a awesome Thursday. Shredder plus a bobble or something. Bobble. See if we can find a kill spell for the Shredder. Yeah, it was a good 3-1. Our only loss was to Hammer Time, which was a close one. We had a whole incident game 2 where I'm not sure my opponent wasn't stream sniping, but I don't want to believe they were, so I won't. Stream sniping, people still do that. Some do. Like, it was a weird situation where my opponent had an Urza Saga in their opening hand, and I had an Alpine Moon, and like played out an EE on turn 1, and we kind of had like a couple turns there where nobody really did anything. They were playing like a Sanctifier on Vec on turn 2, and then turn 3 played a what's it called? The Pure Steel Paladin. And we had Thoughtseize, so we knew they had blacksmith skills, so that was fine. And then like turn 4, they played a basic plains instead of playing the Urza Saga that we knew about, when they did not know about us having the Alpine Moon. And it's just like some turns of, I'm not really sure here. Like, I never want to assume anybody's stream sniping. It just was really awkward. We Thoughtseized them like a turn later, and they had a Cauldron in hand. And it was like, there a reason to not play an Urza Saga because you're expecting to draw into mana to play a Cauldron? Kind of trying to see if I can flip over Delirium. scale of things I do or don't want to see. That's a lot better than a Archmage's Charm. No. And they could have just bolted me. Then they would have lethal here. But yeah, like, I kind of talked about it earlier. I don't want to ever accuse somebody of stream sniping because I don't know for sure. It's just a really, like, awkward series of lines. Not playing around my Apostle's Blessing here. So I could Murderous Cut the Shadow, dash Ragavan. Is there anything I can hit that actually matters? I don't think so. I can maybe hit like a Ledger Shredder, but they're going to get 2 more Connive triggers. And all right, so we got Shriek Maw, Liliana, Unearths, Fatal Pushes, some number of Soul Guide Lanterns. Wraith is meh, Blood Moon's meh. I wonder how Bone Crusher is here. I guess we will find out. Ooh. Well, it's a 1-lander, but it's got like all the good stuff we want. It's got Shadows, it's got Spyro. All we're missing is lands. Yep. Let's go for the upkeep. Fatal Push. On fetch land. Sweet. Kill you. Draw you. Fetch. Shock. Thoughtseize. Then a Spyro that gives us Delirium. Taking an iteration. It's reasonable. All right. Swing in with Spyro. Not Spire, Channeler. Fetch and shock. Shadow number 1. Shadow number 2. Go. Opponent is an instant away from Delirium themselves. Or an artifact. But if they decide to Mishra's Bauble or crack Mishra's Bauble for combat, and they're just staring down a very angry board of Death Shadows. Why would you consider on my upkeep? I haven't put anything. Oh, they knew about the Thoughtseize. Did they bobble me or did they bobble them? Bobbled me. Subtlety, that means you're forced to trade with this channeler. So I think their only out is... But they can't even Archmage's Charm because they can't pay mana off this. And they don't have another untapped land without paying life. That's kind of funny. All right, game 3. I want the 4th Soul Guide. I'm going to say no. Don't believe I do. I also wonder if it's worth it in a matchup like this to keep in, like, a cheeky Blood Moon. Just to say, hey, you're probably not going to fetch around it. Even if you think I'm a Blood Moon deck, surely you can't think I'd bring in or keep in Blood Moon against you, who are also a Blood Moon deck. All right, roll with it. So let's fetch and shock first. And we'll probably end up like fetching swamps off these. All right. Pass the turn. They get to cast an instant. We can stomp. For that. Swamp and stomp. That's not the name of a terrible, like, southern rock band. I don't know what is. Oh man, did you hear old Swamp and Stomps playing at the barn house next Tuesday? Words of my ancestors, yee. So shocking and esteem vents. Am I to assume that means they've got a spell pierce? That's pretty good. Let's go Thoughtseize. Play our land first in case we decide to pay for spell pierce. Which they do not have. I guess this means I'm supposed to just take iteration and soul guide the yard. Now, so they can't just like untap, get priority, and cast Murktide. But realistically, that's only gonna like buy me a turn or two. Maybe they charm this. I guess this could be like Bolt, Bolt the Bone Crusher, Charm, draw two, and if they hit a land, they can Murktide. They messed up there. They should have just they should have kept the Archmage's Charm, or kept the Fiery Islet and just like Archmage's Charm, paid a life and stolen the Shadow. It looks like they're just trying to find Shadow plus, or Murktide plus Archmage's Charm. Unless they're playing on Murktide right here. I don't know. This seems like putting a lot of eggs in one basket when I don't think you need to. If I just have an answer for the Murktide, then just gave up like a bunch of resources for that. shock you in because I'm dead to Murktide if I do. Yep. And I think my only out would be like, they have nothing. I draw Spyro. Spyro draws me into like Shriek Maw Fatal Push. But like I said, they would have to have nothing. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we said before the league started that we don't have a lot of good ways of dealing with the Murktide. Usually all the red-black decks get like Terminate and stuff, but with this Obosh restriction... Nope. Said a couple times that Ragavan is worse on the draw. Why is that? So for a lot of those matches, it's worse on the draw because if you play a Ragavan into their one drops, it gets substantially worse. So against Hammer Time, the best you can play a Ragavan, especially on the draw, is your turn one. In which case, they've got their turn one to play Mim Knight, Esper Sentinel that are all happy trading with it. Turn two, they've got Stoneforge Mystic, Pure Steel Paladin, Sanctifier on Vec that can all trade with it. Even if some of them, like Sanctifier, they're probably less likely to, it still can. So you just run into an issue where, like, those spells are stonewalled pretty quickly against the Bant Ephemerate deck. Like, all of their walls are 2-drops. So if you can play Ragavan on 1 and swing into that on 2, it's good on the play. But if you're on the draw, then Ragavan just gets like stonewalled by 0-4 and gets no value. And you really don't want to spend mana trying to answer it. So I guess we're going to take Ice Fang Coatl. Turn 2, we can Thoughtseize. Try to get the counter spell on that and then like resolve one of the 1-drops. Counter spell. Then we'll play Shadow. I can dash Ragavan next turn. See, understood. If you put it that way, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's just like trying to minimize. It's like on the play when you're playing 4 Ragavan, you play 4 because you want to see that card in your opening hand as much as possible. And then when you go post board against a lot of those matchups where Ragavan runs that Stonewall risk, you don't want to see Ragavan in your opening hand that much. So in those matchups, you're way more likely to want to board out some number of copies Because you don't want to see like 2 Ragavans when the first one is already just kind of stopped. Iteration's good for me here. Ice Fang Quaddle, not so much. I guess if it's like Ice Fang, Chumpa Shadow, and I get Ragavan through, it's probably okay. Solitude. Yep. Oh, Solitude is such a pain card. Now it's like, all right, just Omnath plus a fetch land and the game's out of reach. That's going to be my next question. If that's the case, why do you usually keep 2 copies in the main? It also makes sense now. Yeah, it's because like I want to draw 1 at some point, but it's also kind of the number where you say, I either want this in my opening hand or I never want to see it. Like, I don't want to draw Ragavan on turn 2 if I didn't want it in my opening hand. All right, 5 cards in hand. Like, that is nuts to be at this stage of the game. Just have like a full grip. Like, oh yeah, it's turn 5, and I've got a Teferi, a Fury. Omnath just gained me some life, and like, I know Magus isn't good against them, but it's about the only plan I have to kind of get like a little bit of room. So I'm absolutely not playing Magus because I think the card is good. I'm playing Magus because I've just got to do something post board. Didn't Pi used to be a big Amulet Titan player? Just all over the place. Looks like been a lot of Omnath trophies in the last few months. No surprise there. The deck's kind of nuts. It's also the chance that they're on like the one of the, what's it called? Unholy Heat builds. Ice Fang's gonna trade with one of these eventually. Might as well be now. Solitude as one does. Y'all played against these pitch elemental cards before? They're pretty good. Let me show you all these free cards that get to deal with whatever troublesome thing my opponent could possibly do. Got an artifact or an enchantment. Here's an evoke elemental that deals with those. You got a troublesome creature. Got an evoke elemental for that. That guy's what? And a billion trample? Yeah, here's a solitude. Oh, man. Like, maybe I'm missing something, and the 4-color pile decks are, like, fun to play, but a deck that's good against 4 or 5 color. I'm sure there's decks that are like less bad against them, but I don't know what there is that's like actually good against them. Like, I can't imagine there's a deck out there that just goes, oh yeah, I've got like a 65% against them. But if I had to take a guess, I would say maybe like some of the heavy combo decks are reasonable. They don't run a lot of like force of negation effects or anything. I think their last card's a collected company. Like, if I think it's company, then I should kill one of these guys. But if I don't think it's company, I should kill the Heritage Druid to stop, like, a storm off. Dryad Arbor. I don't really like that fetch there. I think they should have waited because, like, now I know there's a secondary color. I feel like it's not important enough that they fetch and shock there. I think I'm going to draw step K command. Shoot the War Master, make them discard. They really wanted to line up a double block on something, aren't they? All right, big bucks, no cake or no collected company. All right. Good talk. So we've got pushes to come in, Shriekmaw can come in. Everything else is pretty meh. Out. Maybe I want Lily. Blood Moons. Call it a day. Against Elves, usually it comes down to like dealing with the payoff Elves, and you're okay. If they just have like one more payoff than you have removal spell, then you're gonna have some issues. But War Master could be an issue. Realm Walker, Heritage Druid if you just have like an extra removal spell, but I wouldn't prioritize it. I think I said Arch Druid, Zuri, stuff like that. And we'll do a matchup guide for Yawgmoth probably in the next day or two. And it's got a little bit of an overlap with this matchup, in that sometimes you're wanting to target mana dorks with removal spells, sometimes you're not. And ultimately, it just comes down to like how much interaction you have. you're sitting there like 4 pieces of spot removal, then sure, hit the Mana Dork. But if you're not, probably wouldn't. So let's get down a Channeler here. Next turn, we can Thoughtseize plus Shadow, or if we need to Shriek Maw, we can do that. I think that that qualifies as a payoff. But instead of we're gonna bolt so we can double spell with this Shadow. Next turn, Thoughtseize gives us Delirium, as well as pumping up this Shadow pretty heavily. And then that Archdruid looks like a nice prime target for a Shriek Maw. So just take another Visionary. I don't really care about the Visionary if they don't have a bunch of mana available to utilize it. Cycle, stomp this. Freedom Ranger is a really good pickup for them, just because they get to Swinen's Elite with the added benefit of making a dude.
All right, let's bring that beat back.
Ranger. Maybe it was worth it to Fatal Push instead. So if I drew a land next turn, I could just like hard cast the Shriek Maw. Wouldn't be opposed to that reasoning. Zuri Renegade Leader. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. So, 3-2. What do we think? There were a few times I missed Battle Rage. Obosh, I don't think really did anything relevant. I think this has been like the detriment to Obosh is that games in these red-based decks just like don't last long enough for Obosh to matter. The only exception really, I think, is like the Imhayashi mono red Obosh deck. But that's just because every card in that deck is built to like lock you out. Whether it be blast zones and relics and like 8 blood moon effects, Spyros, whatever. It's just like all meant to prolong the game, and eventually Obosh can be a payoff for that. But I think in like a more fair version, Obosh just isn't worth it. Like, I would rather play Terminates and Battle Rages and whatnot than worry about Obosh. So, that's the 2 cents there. If we had a more thrown together, or less thrown together sideboard, I'd probably suggest something like Kozilek's Return for Sanctifier. Added benefit of being good against the tribal decks that are popping up at the moment. But on the plus side, the whole league ended in less than an hour and a half. So if you're looking for something to power through some leagues, this could be an option for you.